chewing the fat.
Listen.
I've been hearing a lot lately about men don't talk, but in my experience, men do talk, just people aren't listening. So it's going to be me and a group of blokes discussing our struggles and victories through life. Warning, there may be some bad language, so apologies to all the mums, especially my own. Let's get going.
Listen.
I've been it's the Black Country Blokes chewing the fat about everything is mental health, disability and life in general. Here with me, Kev Dillon, and my partner in crime as always, Lee Cadman. And today we're joined by Maz and Tracy from Brierley Hill Babybank. So we're going to be telling you all about the wonderful work they've been doing, as well as catching up with ourselves. But before, we're going to go to our gratitude list. Now, I'm always grateful for the community that we have here at the Lions. And we have donations coming in for the Black Country Women's Aid in there. And we had a lovely woman, Julie, who donated some food to Black Country Food Bank. So we went there. My daughter's on 6 weeks holiday today. She was coming up here doing a bit of exercise. And I said, come on, I've got an hour off. So I took my daughter to the food bank. And once again, we saw by Jen, who's been on the show twice. And it was wonderful showing my daughter, who's such a caring, loving kid, a food bank. Mm-hmm. And she's raised money for it with her brownies and with her school. And I was showing her, I went, look, Jasmine, this isn't a shop. All these shelves have been filled by kind people like ourselves and like your school and your brownies. And we walked around and Jen was telling her about everything. Great. But it was such a difference to when I went at Christmas to what's in summer. And this is why I wanted Jenny coming on at first and she'll come on the other week. When I was at Christmas, the time for giving, the shelves were full and you felt so proud to be a human being. This time I'm still proud. But it was a desperate affair. And when Jen was on last time, they'd spent £14,000 out of the kitty. Now it's up to 25,000. And they're having to buy a lot more food. I mean, but don't get me wrong, the people are still so generous.
There's more demand, isn't there, as well as...
more demand.
Yeah, people not being able to afford to donate.
But it was wonderful showing my daughter how kind, not only the volunteers, but how the public are and encourage kindness. And we only took a couple of cans of whatever, but it was a couple of cans that hopefully feed a couple of people. And that's something to be grateful for, educating the future of kindness. I mean, she's brought up in a kind household with kind people, but seeing it in play. So I'm grateful for that, having the opportunity. What are you grateful for?
Well, I had a good appointment yesterday at Birmingham Children's Hospital for the little one, and she's finally going on the ketogenic diet. So yeah. So we're weaning her on that starting next week. But yeah, I'm just grateful as usual for the NHS and that the opportunities we get to do things like this to help and improve my daughter's life. You know, it's absolutely fantastic. And we was in there, I don't know, 1.5 to 2 hours with her explaining how this diet works and what we've got to do.
Can you explain it to people?
So ketogenic is basically it's high fat, low carb diet. But because it's a lot of people actually use it to get fit or not get fit, to lose weight. But because it also can help reduce seizures, but you've got to be quite strict with it. So yeah, she was going through how we test the ketones, how we test the sugar levels, the kind of swaps in meals you can make, because obviously you're getting rid of most of pastas and potatoes and things like that. So yeah, it's kind of what can you use as a substitute for that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's just really interesting. And you know what shocked me probably more than anything? When you're looking down this list and realise how many carbs are in certain things that you wouldn't think there were carbs in. Tomatoes. Yeah, tomatoes, baked beans. It's crazy the amount of carbs in them. So yeah, I'm just thankful that we've got the NHS.
That's what you're grateful for.
Today I'm grateful for a roof over my head. We've recently again rehomed a mum due to domestic violence with her little girl, haven't we? And she's moved in. She's feeling really overwhelmed at the generosity of what we've offered her. And again, she's like, I can't believe you're doing this for me. Like,
it's a hard situation because you don't want them to be in that, but then you're glad that you're able to help.
Yeah, she's like, why are you helping me? Like, I don't owe you anything. And it's not about that for us, is it? It's about making that random act of kindness. So I'm grateful today for my house and being able to keep a roof over my head, because things can change so quickly. And I really wish her all the best. We'll support her as long as we can.
But this is what we started with when we're doing our support group next door. And we'd start like, "There's your week." "Oh, that's terrible. What's been good? Nothing. Nothing." And that's what we started doing the gratitude list, or what's been good. And you go, "What's good?" I went, "Have you got a roof over your head? When you go to the toilet, does it flush?
Yeah.
Have you?" And I went, "You take it. Can you see? Can you stand? Can you swallow?
Yeah.
You take
Did
any
you
of
have a
these,
cup of coffee?
yeah, you take any of these things that we call luxuries away, and you've had a terrible day
I think
when your
you get
toilet
used
doesn't
to it,
flush."
don't you? You
Yeah.
get used to what you have and then forget to realise what you do have. So it's always needed, isn't it? I think gratitude's great.
And it hasn't got to be massive. Just stop at a moment and going, "Wow, my clothes are clean," or "I've got clothes," or
Yeah.
remind yourself the small things make the big things work.
Yeah.
Tracy, what are you grateful for?
I'd say I'm grateful for my job, working, being part of the baby bank. It's so rewarding, just being able to relieve the stress and pressures of families. And yeah,
It's been a really tough
Yeah.
day, hasn't it, today? To be honest, we've had some harrowing stories.
Yeah.
So it's great that you actually feel.
rewarding, and I'm glad to be part of it.
Because just before we go into it, that when you have these sad days, let's call them, when you're hearing these poor situations, how do you get through? Do you see counsellors, or do you just bounce off each other?
I do.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not afraid to open up about that, because people think, well, actually, you run a charity. And this is quite a brave thing for me to do, but again, I need to take my own advice, don't I? You run a charity, you're always happy or positive, you're always wanting to help, and you seem all. And actually, reality is that, it can be just as hard helping someone as well.
Yeah.
So even though trained in counselling and CBT, you do need somewhere that you can go as well to ground yourself, because it can be really hard. But trust me, the good outweighs that. And you do need support around you to sort of, digest the day and the week and the situation.
But even the carers need caring for, don't they?
100%.
And that's where a lot of people go, "Well, how about you? And it's you need to have your own." And it's for anyone who's listening. Needing help doesn't mean you need to stop caring, but sometimes you need someone to take care of you, and that hasn't necessarily got to be a counsellor. And I've seen therapists, NLP practitioners, and they've worked wonders for them. But sometimes just talk to my old pal.
Yeah.
And sometimes, as much as I love my wife, I love her more than God's green apples. Sometimes she ain't the right person to talk to about certain things.
Yeah.
That's why I phone my old pal up, or other people. As long as you're unloading it instead of carrying it with you, you can move on from it, can't you?
That's it, definitely. It's being around the right people as well, isn't it, that can help you through.
I think when we moved into the baby bank, one of the rooms that we wanted to do, the community room. So it's our support room, really. Whether you work there for volunteers, people could just drop off donations and just let go. It's a nice calming room. We'll take them in there and sit them down.
Yeah, it's all like in greens and like neutrals, calming. It's almost it's a mini lounge. That's how we wanted it.
Yeah.
We wanted it to be so that whoever is part of what we do, including volunteers, because most volunteers volunteer because they want to help. They've been through things, and they also need support to be able to help others. So again, much like everybody, we have to learn to look after ourselves, because if we can't help other people. So yeah, the move was really important for that.
Yeah.
And to start working in our playroom with some of our families that have quite intense anxiety in social situations. So that's kicking off, and it's fantastic, isn't it? The group of people we're working with at the minute. We've got baby massage happening as well, haven't we? And
yes, started that today, didn't we?
What's a baby massage? I think my daughter did it for a bit, ringing bells.
So yeah, we've got the family nurse.
Tender them like veal.
So the family nurse partnership team were training in family massage, and they wanted to use our community room for our young mums. So we're very much holistic based, a bit like you guys. talk about, get it off your chest. What's happening? What's going around in that head? Let's look at sort of, you know, how we can rationalize that and you know, gee you up a little bit. But it's a life skill, isn't it?
Yeah,
And
definitely.
you know, like especially when we have some families that aren't quite as close as perhaps we were when we were younger, they don't know the skills or how to do that. So it's great that they come in now, isn't it? And
Yeah,
it really is. It's lovely.
it's not too much, is it? There's not
No.
too many people in the same
Yeah.
room.
And then
People-
we'll take them up to
That one.
like another play group. So we've gone
Yeah.
up to
Storehouse.
Storehouse on Albion Street. So go with them up there, and I think you took about 10, 12 families.
Yeah, that one's a bit more of a bigger scale.
Yeah, so they were ready for that journey, but because they were in a circle of friends where they'd felt comfortable and built those relationships, we were
It's not
able
quite
to
as
then
daunting to go
take
into
them
a
a bit
house.
and they're quite
further.
happy now to independently go on their own.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
So, how did you get started in Brierley Hill Babybank?
Okay, so we tend to find a charity comes from a charity. It's really, really strange. So I was volunteering at the Brierley Hill project, which was then based up on South Street, and it was a food voucher collection point for Black Country Food Bank. So we would obviously the vouchers would come in, we'd hand the food bank out, and it would be about sitting and just saying, you know what, let's have a coffee, let's have a cup of tea, let's have a biscuit. Do you want to talk? We're here. What's going on? Because we realise that going to fetch a food bank is actually really quite embarrassing for some people and they don't want to do it, but it's part towards encouraging them. So we would very much, you know, sit down, let's have a chat and see what's going on. The one day we had a 17-year-old mom come in, and she quite clearly, you could see she was pregnant, and she come in with her family nurse and sat down and sort of went through her voucher, offered her a drink because she was like really hot and sweaty, bless her. And I just sort of said, so is there anything I can do to help? And she literally just broke down in tears, this 17-year-old girl. And we started chatting, and basically she was from an affluent area in the borough. Not going to say where, but she was from a well-to-do family who had high expectations of her. She'd got doctorate literally written all over her, and she'd had a relationship and disclosed the pregnancy, fear of what her family would say. And at 37 weeks, she told them, and they kicked her out. And they said, we don't want nothing to do with you. Really sad. But she
Very common as well, I imagine.
yeah, exactly. And she said, I want this baby, and I can do this, and I will make something of my life, but I feel the right thing right now is to have my baby. And if that's, you know, so anyway, she was put into temporary accommodation, and she'd got nothing for the baby. All I could give her was this food bank voucher, and it just felt like I couldn't let her go without doing a little bit more. So I literally jumped on Facebook and I just sort of said, can anyone got any baby clothes? Can anyone help? So we got some bits together, and I started to ring around the local borough. What's available in this sort of situation? What support can they get? What services are there? And really there wasn't anything other than if there was a bit of money in the social workers fund pot to go and get something, then great, but we all know that that's all being restricted massively, isn't it? So after my research, there were only like 90 baby banks in the whole of the UK.
In the whole of the UK?
Whole of the UK. One of them was a franchise, which I didn't feel was the right way for our borough. I didn't feel it was right for our area because ultimately, you know, I'm from the Black Country, grown up all my life in the Black Country, and have a passion for it. So I wanted to not be tightened by a UK franchise. So anyway, looked into it, spoke to health professionals, made sure that we were doing the right thing, how we could make sure we weren't creating a dependency. And again, based on the fact that we help to create change, we help to advocate for our families, we help to look to make changes in the UK as well. We're part of Baby Bank Network, Babybank Network UK. So that now is a collective of different baby banks throughout the whole of the UK. There are over 200 baby banks now, unfortunately, and we're advocating that there should be better provisions and change.
They used to do the Sure Start and things like that when my first was born, and all that kind of went. I think they're trying to bring that back now, aren't they?
Yeah,
Is that
so
through your
a
campaigning
little bit of an insight here. I think I can tell you.
Yes, you're going to anyway, aren't you?
Yeah, I am.
You won't tell no one.
Yeah, the launch week for the borough is the 14th of August. So Babybank were involved in research with local families. So we were commissioned to speak to local families to get their stories and their experiences of what it's like to live in the Black Country. What do people need? What's good about what we do? We did asset mapping to try and find out all the good things that are going on to create that positive vibe, more than focusing on what we're not doing, but taking on board what needs to alter. And it was all fed back to Dudley Council. There are 5 hubs in our borough for families to get support from. So there's one in Starbridge, Halesowen, Dudley Central, Brierley Hill, and Dudley North. And they've realised that the good old Sure Start days were fantastic. So let's look at what we can do to bring that back to a family centre, not just a place that you go to if you are having contact visits or you have a social worker, because actually that's making people feel like they're not good enough. So it's all been relaunched, and they are going to be called family hubs, and we're getting midwives back in there, we're getting health visitors back in there, we're getting support services in there. It's going to take a couple of 3 years for that change, but we've been working on that for about a year now with them. So 14th of August it launches.
They cut these things that make the massive difference. And if you take away the heart of the community, your post office, your pub, your police station, the cashier at the supermarket, where people can't talk, they can't have you lose it, don't you? And that's what if you take this thing, like, you have to have when you leave, here's a couple of clothes, here's a couple of nappies. Thank you. If everyone gets it, I haven't got to be ashamed. And if I've got too much anyway, I'll give it to someone else. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'll say, I'm all right, you have it. Yeah. But when you victimise people, then they feel embarrassed. And when people feel embarrassed, that's when tragedy happens, isn't it?
Absolutely.
That's when we let our pride get in the way, and then we do something silly.
Or we let it build, don't we? And that affects our mental health.
And then we're drowned in it. Yeah. You know what I mean? So we've got to be helping people water in the shallow end before they get to the deep end.
Early intervention.
Yeah. And it's a great word that's thrown around loads. But you see it, care in the community, care. And you go,
Kev, you seem like someone that likes analogies. I love analogies.
I love analogies.
It's great, isn't it?
Can't spell it.
Yeah. I go to some of these official meetings, and I'm not going to say who, but like literally I'll sit there and I'll be like, they're using all these posh words. And I'm like, just give it me as it is. I don't need it wrapping up or dressing or whatever. But yeah, I'm a big fan of analogies, I think, because it's great for people to have that mental image as well. Yeah, it's good. And awareness, is always good anyway, isn't it?
And I think what you guys are doing, because we're parents, when you have a child, when you have a parent, God, you want to put them in home. When you have a child, it's petrifying, isn't it? I always say to anyone, the daddies and mummies who come up here, and I go, the scariest thing in the world, you go in as 2 people, you come out as 3. And then you get used to your wife being pregnant, and then you have this thing, and you get there and you go, wow, what do I do now? And I was lucky enough, we had money, we had grandparents, we had all the support in the world, but it was still petrifying.
Absolutely.
Imagine doing it.
I mean, parenting at any age from birth. I mean, I've got a 25-year-old and a 20-year-old, and I'd rather have the baby.
There's no handbook either, is there? Every child's different.
That's right.
And it's, yours isn't walking by now, or yours isn't mine. And you think, they naturally do when they're going to do it. But there's so much shame and blaming, and you find yourself crying at people's opinions that don't actually matter. And then you've been up all night. I remember me and my wife, and I love her. And you go, I'm tired. You go, you're tired.
Yeah.
Hey, go, whoa.
I've done so many hours of this.
We can both be tired. We're on the same team. But you turn on each other. But at least we had each other to turn on. And when you've got all these other stresses of finance, is my house going to be taken away? Have I got a house?
Can
Am I
I
living?
afford nappies?
Can't afford nappies.
Mm.
And then all these things just accumulate, don't they?
They do, and then it's hard to break it down and see a way out. And that's kind of what we do. Is we also we kind of it's a jigsaw puzzle, isn't it?
It is,
We're
yeah.
part. We will bring in what services need to collaborative working, and just help them find a piece at a time, just to try and make a clearer picture. If not, it's just journeying with someone, isn't it? Like you say, being there for them to just vent sometimes as
Oh,
well.
definitely.
But like, when you said about being a trained counsellor, because often it isn't just, well, here's some nappies, here's some clothes, here's some milk. Let's talk about how have you got into this rut, how can I get out the rut, and how are you actually feeling?
Yeah.
The art of having a cup of coffee and a bicky.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Can't beat it.
well, back in the day, you would knock on the door and go, do you fancy a brew? Now we'll send an email, a text message, or WhatsApp, a DM. But that's not the same because you clock the body language. Are you sure you're okay? Do you need to? And then before you know it, you go to the GP and you start crying to your doctor. You start sobbing at your mate. And it's
You've only got 10 minutes to do that with, though.
yeah, well, if you look at it.
No disrespect.
Just throwing tissues as you're leaking.
Yeah, but again, this is the other thing, sort of like NHS services doing as best they can, but they are battling like triple the caseloads. We've got health visitors that we're speaking to that have got like such high caseloads. They're burning out, and they need that support. We
Same
find
with
that,
social
don't we?
workers.
Yeah.
I mean, the lack of social workers in Dudley is
Yeah.
absolutely crazy.
It's quite funny actually, because sometimes like they'll come and they'll pick up some goodies for one of their clients and like to help us out, and they'll be like, oh, this has been the highlight of my day. I can go and take this to my family now and know that today I've helped them smile. And then you sort of go, so has today not been a great day? And they just go, and so it's a clear example that while sometimes we can be frustrated with services, we know that they're under also an immense amount of pressure, so just to allow them to talk about that and get that off their chest for the day is good.
That's why it helps with us being we're doing as much training that we can. We did the breastfeeding one the other day.
Breastfeeding training.
When mums are coming in and we're having this just general chit chat in the play group and it comes up, we can help them. We can discuss.
We're best informed is what the terminology is.
I think it's good that it's not a professional. I'm trying not to call you unprofessional, but you're not. You're kind of you're doing it as part of a conversation or a play thing. It's not this person's making this. I know what it's like myself and my daughter. The amount of appointments we have to do, and it's probably similar there. And you just go, oh my God, another appointment. I've got to do this. I've got to do that. Well, actually, if you're already doing that as part of being somewhere else and doing that.
And the thing is, we can have families, don't we, that ring up and say, oh, I've been trying to do this and my midwife that and this. You just let them get that out of their system, and then we actually try and also rebuild that relationship. So we'll make contact with services and go, she's feeling like this is a bit of a struggle. Can we meet up together, or when are you next seeing her? I'll come along, we'll sit and sort of just help to rebuild that relationship as well. That's really important, isn't it?
I think it works well with that, because we try and have that relationship with all of us. So when nobody can just give us a call. They can give us a call, but when they're asking for things and items that they need, they can. We would work with the health visitors and that.
So they have to be referred to you.
They have to be referred to us.
Yeah. So they can call you up and have a chat all the night. But
Absolutely.
I need a new cot that you've got to go through.
100%.
Yeah. So it gives us all of us that relationship then, doesn't it?
And they do tend to open up a little bit more to us because we aren't classed as a professional, and we're not. We're not as trained as those guys, but we know the basics now, and we have a good understanding of the legal framework and the framework in which we don't ever want to create a dependency on our service. It's about trying to help to, here you go, Kev. Rather than give someone a fish, what do? We teach them how to fish.
And
that's exactly what it
it's that
is.
human interaction, which is, you can have all the PhDs, and clever words only work if you know what clever words mean.
Oh, absolutely.
But if you can talk to someone on their level, that's worth all the paperwork in the world, isn't it?
It is.
And if you can get that person who hasn't opened up to open up,
Yeah.
that's a gift in itself. And I think
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
We are lucky, actually,
Massively.
thinking about that. We are lucky, aren't we?
you can improve on it, but I think it's a God-given gift if you can get someone to talk.
Yeah.
And it's having that ability to listen and to not to judge and not to, and sometimes it's tough, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you're thinking, but like what you were saying before about the breastfeeding, the classes, some things we go, well, weren't you ever taught? And a lot of time, no, I wasn't. I wasn't taught how to budget my money. I wasn't taught
Yeah.
this. And
It's a shame for us too, Nick. Kev.
but you need someone to teach you.
Yeah.
And you know, if you haven't ever had anyone to ask, how are you supposed to know?
Yeah.
You're not just born with knowledge.
You're not, no.
You're
Going
given
back to
knowledge.
Everyone's
basics,
got to
isn't it?
learn, haven't they? And we all have to make mistakes, don't we? We all do to learn.
Yeah.
And sometimes people just have a real bad run of things as well.
Mm.
And it can be so hard to get out of that hole once you're there. But it is possible, it is achievable. You just need someone to walk that journey with you and talk you through it. You
And I
know?
think if you walk into the baby bank or the food bank or to a boxing club,
Yeah.
walking through the door is the hardest thing.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10 you get there, you go, I don't know, I was worried. But it's that impression of, am I going to be made to feel and look like a fool?
Mm-hmm.
And that holds you back so much in life.
Yeah.
And sometimes holding off too long, like going to see a GP, longer we leave it, worse it gets.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying straight away jump into, I need help, but it's like, be aware, then act on it.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think as well, like so many people are reaching out for help, which is great, but it's causing a lot of backlogs as well. So just to access things like talking therapies can take such a long time. And then when you have that assessment, I've got one client at the moment that has bravely took that step to finally, go to her GP and engage with talking therapies. And she had the appointment and it's come through. Yes, we think, you could benefit from some CBT. Fantastic. That's great. So how are you feeling about that and talking her through that? And then we make the phone call to sort of say, well, do we know roughly how long that's going to take, and we all know the answer of how long that could take. So it's about supporting them until they can,
In time.
yeah, that's it. But us having those qualifications now helps us to sometimes make a bit of a difference quicker and avoid that referral as well for services.
You're seeing the same kind of uptake though, aren't you? Or rising uptake. So it's 86%.
So
more.
yeah, so far this month we are 89% increase. Last month was 69% increase. We're on target by 5 packs to be our busiest ever month in 4 years. Very much like Food Bank. We're having to dip into a lot of our reserves, aren't we, to meet the need.
Yeah.
It's crazy, and the increase for one-to-one support is 212% increase.
How do you cope with that? Because you don't, like, I run a business and and I'm not comparing a charity bit, but you kind of allocate where you're going to be and how much that's going to cost you
Yeah,
month by month.
yeah.
And you don't expect a £200, a 200% increase
Yes.
in that.
No, it is hard. It is hard. I've been fundraising for Baby Bank since we started 4 years ago, and it's only been this year that we've obviously drawing a wage now. That's because National Lottery are funding us, so anything that we raise doesn't go on our wages, does it? But in total, to keep Baby Bank running so far to date, we're hitting in excess of £550,000 I've raised to keep it going. The prediction for the next 3 years is really scary, but we need to try and fundraise
Constant fundraising.
constantly.
But,
And it's about knowing what's out there, really utilising those services, especially the community services, because we don't profess to be all singing, dancing. But it's having that conversation, because we're very much person-centred and we're tailored. So we don't just go, here's a bag of everything, off you go. our packs are tailored to what is needed, what's identified by professionals and ourselves. So we wouldn't just give them everything. So we wouldn't give a mom that's expecting, Moses basket clothes, a pram, toiletries, nappies. We wouldn't give them everything. We'd have that conversation. So what have you been able to get so far? What do you have? And then we only give the items that they're missing, which are essential. So things like sterilizers and, things to keep baby dressed, warm, clean. We wouldn't just, give them a brand new Tommy Tippy sterilizer because a microwave one works perfectly well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So we tailor our packs so that we make the best use of our money, the best use of donations. On our Facebook page, we put on there what we need, and the community are amazing. They will, won't they? They will just bring it in by the droves.
We could put a shout out on Facebook, and within a couple of days,
we've got what we need.
Got a pile that big.
It's very, very rare.
Isn't it kind?
It is.
In that, once again,
overwhelming.
The beauty, because we're bombarded, everyone's selfish, the youth of today, and everyone's.
No, that's not what we experience.
But when you see the real average day Joe, how beautiful and kind they are, and I'll say if you break down in the council estate, they'll share the sandwich because they know how it feels to be hungry.
Yeah,
and that's the beauty of the common day man and woman.
Yeah,
how generous they are in hard times.
Yeah,
and we forget that, we lose it. But that's just a shout out to yourselves
Black
out there,
Country.
and humanity. It ain't as bad as people make it out, is it?
No, I think again it's that whole outlook. Sometimes we have to remember what we need to be grateful for and re-centralize ourselves, isn't it? Otherwise it's really easy to get in that negative thought, isn't it, and that negative pattern, but it happens, and it's how you try and work out and work through that, or just being with someone if it's just is a continual chaotic life that sometimes people just do tend to have.
I don't think we'd be able to do any of it though, would we, without the volunteers? We've got over 30 volunteers.
Brilliant.
Not at all.
Some, whether it's one session a week or some are there a few days, over a few.
So when we do have to do like annual reports and things like that, every charity does, because if you are a registered charity, you have to conform to some guidelines. And we've just done our AGM, our annual general figures, and actually we worked out that over the year, the financial year, we'd had over 60 volunteers help us, and they'd actually worked £92,000 worth of time for us.
Hey, fantastic.
Yeah.
They're not all regular ones either. I mean, we get work experience girls, we get companies that let people go for the day for doing like a community day. It's a mixture of everyone. Some of when we moved into the unit as well, we had some offering to do bits of plumbing and painting and so that could just do a Saturday.
It was like a mini DIY
massive.
SOS, wasn't
Yeah.
it? When we moved in, it took us 3 weeks to completely repaint, refloor, refit the whole of this unit, because we knew we couldn't get it fitted or done in any other time, and we did it over Christmas.
Well, we did it just before
Christmas.
We thought we were going to be doing it all too early.
Yeah, we did. But again, everyone jumped in.
Everybody.
I did something.
Just came for a couple of hours. We didn't even know. It's not even.
Didn't
we
even
just
know
put a
them.
Facebook post.
I did something similar myself a few weeks back with a special needs school that needed a Century Garden.
Okay.
Redoing a lot of work in there.
Which one's that?
You were
Chad's Corbett.
Chad Corbett, yeah.
In Bronsgrove.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. Again, the amount of people that showed up and helped out, and the amount of work we got done. And I think actually more special needs school need to. I know the special needs school my daughter goes to. I think they could do with that kind of help.
Yeah.
But yeah, the community spirit there. It was absolutely brilliant day, and it was so rewarding after doing
It's
it.
lovely, isn't it?
Especially for myself, because we've had a lot of donations from my daughter in terms of buying equipment and things along that line.
Okay.
And it was great to just give back to another special needs school and kind of do that as well.
Yeah.
What kind of stuff do you normally need donating? Or does it vary?
It varies, but our most common, 18 to 24 month clothes.
We really
always
struggle.
need those, because the kids start walking around, don't they, then, and getting all their juice and filth and rubbish and running around and holes in the socks and everything. So that's the most common. What else would you say is one of our top needy items?
Toiletries.
Toiletries.
As in your baby wipes, your bits and bobs.
Yeah,
I
shampoo.
think the majority of the packs
nappies,
tend to be with
wipes.
toiletries just to help get, you know.
Do you know what? Now I'm thinking about it. The toy cupboard's bare again.
Yeah.
And can they be
Yes.
brand new, or can it be second hand?
Brand new, good quality, second hand, pre-loved. As long as all the pieces are there,
Yeah.
then that's fine, because we give our items out as a gift.
Yeah.
We want to help people feel like we're gifting, not just here's a black bag of stuff.
Yeah.
We wrap it up and it's made into
It's
lovely
all
little
cleaned
packs.
and sorted.
clean.
I saw Ashley on Facebook. You'd put it all in the Moses
The
basket and it looks like a
volunteers
big
love it.
present, doesn't it?
Every volunteer, when they get given a pack, they don't know the names or addresses of anybody. That's all secure data with us. But they just have a piece of paper with a little boy, how old, and what's needed. And they trot around the unit, don't they? And they pick what they feel is the nicest this or the best that. And they put it all together and they come in, they're like, oh, you've done the pack now. And they'll make sure, even just down to little...
Everyone has a teddy as well.
Everybody, every child has a teddy.
We put a teddy in.
But teddy,
everyone.
obviously, it's got to be like baby safe, but that can be a second hand.
Yeah, of course it
Yeah.
can. Yeah.
I know sometimes, look, I've talked to people who've had like good, and every charity's doing good, but I was saying like running a Smith and Soldiers Club, and people every Christmas up here are so generous on there. We've been to loads of charities, but then some charities won't have second hand clothes. But like when they're struggling as it is,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, some people come up with a bag full of brand new stuff, and I think it's beautiful. But then some people go, "I've outgrown this, Kev. Can someone else
still
have
good
it?"
use.
And I think, well,
Yeah.
isn't
And
that
again, what
lovely?
you're doing, they're probably realising is sort of reducing the carbon footprint as well.
Well, yeah, and it's
We worked it out. We avoided 10 tonne of clothes going to landfill by providing them.
And there's
to
no
local
need when they're all
families.
perfectly fine.
Perfectly
Yeah.
fine.
Especially when I think about all my children, when especially my first child, the amount of clothes you buy to begin with when they're first born
yeah.
that they don't wear, because basically they're in a baby grow for God knows how
How many
long.
children have you got, Lee?
3.
3.
Yeah, so you do, don't you? You kind of, and it's your first one, so everyone's kind of buying in excess, and yeah,
0 to 3 is our most common.
I can imagine it is. Yeah.
But even going back on the toys as well, how developmental it is helps them.
Yeah.
People,
And the
you
kids
know,
haven't got building blocks.
no.
So the health visitors can't always complete the developmental checks, or it'll show that they're delaying in their motor skills because the toys have gone up again, haven't they?
Yeah.
Just the price of
is ridiculous.
the things for the kids to
Yeah.
grab. I mean, I don't know about you. I was quite happy with, like, you know, a mixing bowl and a spatula and a saucepan. We managed, didn't we? We didn't turn out too bad.
That's when children had imagination, though.
Yeah, we
And
did.
we were encouraged to have imagination. And what I learned in the lockdown, because I had my little girl, we were going back to having fun with like chalk and playing, and because 2 lessons I heard about being a great parent: the power of no and letting your child be bored.
Mm-hmm.
And what drives me mad is when I'm somewhere and some parents will just put their tablet or whatever, and someone else's kid is blaring Peppa Pig. I'm going, let your child be bored. Let your child look out the window. You haven't got to be
Soak up
occupied
life.
all the time.
Yeah.
Allow them to just, oh, it's a stick. Oh, now it's a horse. Now it's a gun. Now it's a...
Yeah.
And their little brains to fill their time.
Mm-hmm.
And we've kind of lost that. Every moment of hasn't got to be filled.
Yeah.
Be bored, be creative, be beautiful. The great...
It's almost as though, like, people don't want you to be quiet, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like there is goodness in just calm and quiet and thought time.
But that comes down to prayer, meditation, hypnosis, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Is quiet. Allow your mind. And imagine how many great symphonies and songs and moves have been made, just been sitting on the bus going, ping.
Yeah.
Not staring at something.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we need to allow them to be bored, allow them to be creative.
I think there needs a mixture of both, because how many songs and films have been created because you've heard or watched something.
Yeah, but not as a baby, as a child. That's just...
Yeah, it's like what we're doing now, isn't it? It's going out on social media.
Yeah.
And that's fantastic. What a tool.
What a tool.
What a tool. But actually, we've just kind of been hypocritical and gone, you need to get off your devices. And
Watch this. What do you do? Watch this.
But it's right, isn't it? You don't. But it's about that balance. It's what we say to
Time
people.
to be occupied.
No
time to
one's
be quiet.
saying you can't do something.
Yeah.
It's about that balance to help you, with life.
But it's great having these conversations with different people. And this is one of the main reasons why we started to do, talk about men's mental health, but having organisations on, because there's so much goodness out there, so many great people. But unfortunately, the smaller charities don't always get the pull of some of the bigger charities. And I believe, like, on radio and on TV and on Midlands Today, and you guys should be having bigger shout outs.
It is hard running a small charity.
It is.
Yeah.
And we've seen, because the Lions is a charity, the Black Country Blokes is a CIC.
Okay.
But then
so you know already then.
Yeah, and we've been going like downstairs 23, and it's, you do all the good work for nothing, but because then you do it for nothing, they expect it.
Mm-hmm.
People expect it. And like, I remember when we used to do like the school holidays, and they give us funding. They go, you've got so many people here, and we've got 100 kids a day, just a number off the top of my head. And where? But we're stopping it now because you're successful. We're going to go and give it to kayaking on the canal.
Mm-hmm.
And they go, but we're working, we're getting from the Irish travel, the Romani travel, the Yemeni community, the Jamaican. We've got everyone here under one roof, the Sikhs, the Muslims, all together. Oh, no, but you're doing it anyway. But how are we supposed to survive without funding?
Yeah, it is. It's
and once we go, where do those kids go? Every ghetto in the country, in the world, where the police won't even go, you'll find a boxing club. Mm-hmm. You'll find that place where people go for discipline and love.
Yeah.
Not to be hard, to be loved.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It is.
And if you can reach those people, you make those people better.
I think we all need our boundaries, don't we? We all need to know. And sort of, again, through meeting face to face, whatever the situation, that's the way forward, that face to face contact, that support network and those boundaries, for sure.
Boundaries, what another great thing to teach children, to teach in relationships, to teach in work life. But if you're not taught boundaries, where'd you go from there? You need that lesson. But once again, if you haven't been taught it through your parents, through your teachers, you need somewhere to learn what boundaries happen.
And that falls down to the community.
And if you break your boundaries, consequences happen.
Yeah.
But don't worry, just because you've messed up doesn't mean you're on the scrap heap. You've still got a chance.
Yeah, definitely.
What a great place to build from than rock bottom.
Yeah.
What a foundation.
I was inspired walking in here today, sort of you highlighting your journey and sort of, just reminding people that actually you can achieve wherever you're from. In some of the worst places in the world have become, there's a diamond that shone, and it's giving that hope, isn't it, and inspiration. I think one thing that we've been part of the last 3 weeks, which has been an absolute pleasure, is having work experience girls in from local schools. Just tell them what we've roughly done with them and how that backs up exactly what you say.
Yeah, so we've brought them in, and obviously we showed them a bit of everything that we do, but not just that, basic things that you'd automatically think that they'd know. What's tax, what's national insurance, how to budget. We just went through everything, and we did like a scenario where, so you're working this amount of hours, you've got your partner who works that, and you've got a child of this age. So this is your income and this is what you'd get. But then we'd work your outgoings out, and they were shocked. I don't think they're planning on moving out ever, to be honest.
No, we had 2 of them go, we're staying at home forever.
Yeah.
And then we did like a shopping basket challenge. So we asked them to write down what they have that they take for granted, that they have and perhaps don't understand the value. And it ranged anywhere between £80 a month and £240 a month that these young people were having off their families without them actually probably realising that. And I think we got it in the bag for a couple of the parents because they sort of sat there and the coin dropped and they went, wow, like I really appreciate what I am being given.
That's fantastic work experience.
The one little girl, well, she was 17.
Oh yeah.
She went back home that same day because we were talking about this lady that's been homeless and the fact that she'd got nothing. And she went home. She went into the camping cupboard in the garage, and she grabbed a spare kettle, plates, cups, knives, forks, duvets, and she brought it in the next day to hand over She asked her mum, is it okay? And her mum said, absolutely, yeah. And she handed it over knowing that she has experienced a work-life situation, real-life situations. And actually her first thought was, I have that at home and I can help someone.
Yeah.
And she will be remembered by that family because we've made sure the family know where that's come from, that it's come from a young person that is learning that it's okay to ask for help, and it's lovely.
okay to help.
I think that wouldn't be a bad thing. So you can do your work experience, but we also have to do a week's charity experience as well.
Yeah.
Going out there and do a week's volunteering. And
Fantastic. We'd love to do that. Yeah. So
They
we've
were
kind of
amazing, weren't
yeah,
they?
Dudley
Every
Council
single
have sort
one.
of said, yeah, you know, you've ticked the box hugely for future work experience.
And we did try them out as well. 'cause
We did. They were all
Each night they
shattered.
went back for another 2 hour nap.
Can I come here though, and they did a session here? I mean, like, my gosh, they really were. They weren't. Their fitness levels weren't great, were they? They were tired. But yeah, I'm thinking about whether it's something we could do sort of during half terms and that as well for our younger people that are about to leave school. So 14 to sort of 17-year-olds. Maybe that might just be a random thought because I do have these thoughts, you know. As you
no,
know.
I think that'd be brilliant.
But,
I'll sign my
so,
daughter up.
So whereas you
She won't go back
people
and sleep
feel,
tonight.
yeah,
She'll just have that going.
where you feel that it's just we provide packs from 25 weeks pregnancy up to age 2. That's not actually exactly what we do. Like you guys, just like boxing, just like the men's group, it's much more than that. So yeah, it's great to work collaboratively. It honestly is. So you know, it's great that we've been given the chance to come here and have a look downstairs, be re-inspired by what you do, and by all means, we'll give out your vouchers, your flyers,
Definitely.
information out to our families and our dads. And let's see if
working
we can
together
get
as a community, it's just
And tell
100%.
people about the free lessons Monday to Friday, mixed classes 10:30 to 11:30 a.m. They're ladies only, 11:30 to 12:30, because some women are okay training with men,
Yeah,
but some women want to train on their own, just with women. So give them the option.
yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's
So
what we
for
do.
dads as well, it's for dads as well. Free sessions for
Anyone-
dads.
From 16 and above.
16 and above. Yeah,
So that way, safety and everything else. So we ain't got
course.
kids running about,
yeah,
but you got like young adults with adults, and they can come and train, be a part of something. And it's not like, oh, well, I've got a box. You learn boxing technique. It's not sparring. We're not here to knock about. So the only 2 rules of Lions Boxing Club: I hate bullies, and we've got to have good manners. And that's from all levels.
Fantastic.
You know what I mean? And I have from people with autism or Asperger's down to ex-gang members
yeah.
and you're here to be part of the team, and that's what it's all about. And
So have you guys ever looked back and reflected on how many people's lives you've impacted?
oh well, people say that, but
You're constantly going, aren't you? That's part of life, isn't it? You
Yeah.
very rarely stop and go, well, actually, what? You know, how long have we been doing the podcast now?
4 years. 4
No,
years.
we haven't. I couldn't even tell you how long we're doing it. That says it all.
I'm with a coach, and every so often you'll bump someone in the pub or in Morrison's, or I was out somewhere today, and someone just jumped out the car and over, give me a kiss, and said, "This is your daughter." Give it, or you have some good news. Oh, so and so's getting married, or so, and it's
Keeps you going, doesn't it?
well, it's when the babies are bringing their babies up here,
Yeah.
and you're thinking, "Blimey neck," but in that lovely when you can come somewhere, and they've been from a culture where they've only had racism and nastiness, and you have always been kind to them.
Yeah.
And I always say, don't give back, give forwards. I give it to you because I loved you. So give it to next generation, hopefully.
Yeah.
And if everyone's always giving forwards, there's always someone getting the love.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think if you can do that, once again, community, and if you do it for pure reasons, it's all worth it.
Yeah.
You know, do the right thing for the right reasons.
Really is.
But girls, thank you ever so much for coming on. How can people find you on social media, or if they want to
Yeah.
donate?
So we're working on a new website, but we do have one that's fully
Scrolling across the
informative.
bottom at the moment. So
So www.brierleyhillbabybank.co.uk. On Facebook, we're on there. We're on Insta, or you can give us a call on 07930 073 077. Yeah.
But I'll find your details, and I'll be sharing it on my personal one and the social medias. Girls, before you go, Have you got any quotes or sayings either from your organisation or any quotes or sayings that have helped you get through life first? Maz, I'll ask you first.
Never judge.
Simple as it is.
Yeah.
Tracy?
Mine's from Nemo. Just keep swimming.
Yeah.
I love it. I do. I've always thought about that.
Yeah.
Just keep swimming.
Well, guys, thank you for coming on. And guys, thank you for listening as always. So until we see, we're going to have a bit of a break. We're having a month off now, so go back and listen to all our episodes. And if you ever want to come on, be in touch. The Lions are having an open day on the 12th of August, so come down and see what the Lions Boxing Club is all about. So have a wonderful summer. So until we see each other next time, take care of yourselves and one another. Ta-ra a bit.
Listen.
And that's a wrap for another show. But if there are any comments or messages that you would like us to read out for our next podcast, please be in touch. There are also lots of different organisations at the bottom of this page, and hopefully they can help you or someone you care about. Please share this to spread the word. Until we talk next time, ta-ra a bit.
Listen.